In the headlines, SIDEMA to focus on the needs of Anguilla and the British Virgin Islands in the wake of Hurricane Irma's impact. Dominica pledges support to sister islands affected by Hurricane Irma. And public officers who retired in 2015-2016 and their counterparts to receive tax-free bonuses as the PSU signs collective agreement with government. I am Andrea Louis with the Channel 5 News. Back with the details after this. Thank you for staying with us. First up, the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency will mainly focus on responding to the needs of Anguilla and the British Virgin Islands immediately in the wake of Hurricane Irma's impact.
SIDEMA's Executive Director Roland Jackson told a news conference from Barbados on Wednesday that rapid needs assessment teams will be dispatched to Antigua as a hub to serve Anguilla and the BVI.
We don't have all the full details on the British Virgin Islands at the moment, but given that the eye passed directly over Tortola, and given the physical conditions, the geographic conditions in Tortola, given that much of the population was relocated from Anegada, which was the threatened island, to Tortola, we anticipate that there should be significant needs being generated as a result of the island being impacted by the most severe aspects of the storm. And so our focus is really now going to be turned to the British Virgin Islands and Anguilla. And in that regard, we're currently working to deploy teams into Antigua at some point tomorrow.
Jackson has, however, expressed concern over the approaching tropical storm Jose.
We are, however, mindful, and I want to make this very important point, however mindful that our plans may be varied somewhat by the fast advancing tropical storm Jose, which is moving within the wake of Hurricane Irma and is showing some signs that it could move along a similar path that Hurricane Irma has taken. This means that there is a potential for secondary impact to the North Leeward Islands. That is being factored in our plans at the moment. But for now, we are hoping to deploy into Antigua as our jump point and to serve the needs of Anguilla and the British Virgin Islands from that point.
SIDEMA will also place attention on responding to impact on Turks and Caicos.
In other top stories, Prime Minister of Dominica, Roosevelt Skerrit, has pledged the country's support to the Leeward Islands as Hurricane Irma continues to move across the island chain. In a statement released on Wednesday morning, Prime Minister Skerrit said he had made contact with member states north of Dominica to assess the damage done to their respective countries by the Category 5 Hurricane Irma.
I have spoken to the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Honorable Gaston Brown, and he has informed me that Antigua itself was not heavily impacted outside of some fallen trees and so forth. But Barbuda was out of communication, and he would be making a trip there sometime this morning so that his government, his government could make an assessment of the situation in Barbuda. I've also spoken to the Chief Minister of Anguilla, who indicated to me that Anguilla was receiving a pounding. And he said to me that the winds have been merciless, and clearly they will suffer some significant damage. Our hope and prayer is that there will be no loss of lives in Anguilla. Montserrat did not receive any impact. A similar situation in St. Kitts and Nevis. In St. Martin, I've made efforts to reach the Prime Minister of St. Martin, but it appears that the telephone system in St. Martin in some parts have been compromised. So communication to St. Martin is a bit challenging.
Mr. Skerrit said Dominica stood ready to assist the affected islands once the need is communicated.
Dominica stands ready to support with the little resources that we have. Once the assessment is received and the indication of what kind of support these islands would need, then Dominica would support. Because one cannot forget the tremendous outpouring of love and solidarity in 2015 following Tropical Storm America. So we understand what these islands will be going through. We understand the challenges, and the expression of solidarity in a tangible way to these countries would certainly help in a huge way. So our thoughts and prayers, our hope is that there'll be no loss of lives in these islands, and that the rebuilding process will commence immediately after the storm would have passed.
The Prime Minister, while thankful that no major damage was caused in Dominica from Hurricane Irma, cautioned the public to be vigilant as another weather system has already formed in the Atlantic Ocean.
In respect to Dominica, again, we're monitoring Jose. Jose is following Irma very closely. And so the Office of Disaster Management and the Met Office, they are monitoring on a 24-hour basis, and will be providing the country with for 3-hour interval report on the situation. I really want to thank all of the whole country, as a matter of fact, for adhering to the calls of the authorities. You know, because once we have cooperation, it is easier for us to execute a plan. And I must say the response to the Dominican public was commendable, and this assisted in the execution of the plan.
In related news, the chairman of the Emergency Shelters Subcommittee, John Fontaine, is commending the action taken by Dominicans ahead of Hurricane Irma affecting the island. The weather system had intensified to a Category 5 storm on Tuesday morning, and a tropical storm warning had been issued for the country from 5 a.m. Numerous advisories and updates had been disseminated to the public in the days leading up to Irma's impact on island. The brunt of Irma's outer bands was expected on Tuesday, and Fontaine says he is impressed with Dominicans being proactive in moving to emergency shelters where and when necessary.
The response to hosting persons at the emergency shelters, that was tremendous. We had a number of volunteers showed up. The shelters were opened, some from the afternoon, some in the early evening. And we are currently putting the statistics together. But the response has been very, very encouraging from our many volunteers across the island in response to Hurricane Irma.
The tropical storm warning for Dominica had been discontinued on Wednesday morning, and residents were given the all-clear to return to their respective homes. Moving further afield, St. Martin was severely affected by Hurricane Irma. The Caribbean Tourism Organization is reporting that the fire station in St. Barthélemy was underwater with 5 engines out of service. Firefighters themselves had to seek refuge. Several homes were damaged and roofs blown off. There was also a total electricity blackout. In St. Martin, government offices were partly destroyed. The island's prefect and 23 staff were forced to take shelter. The fire station there was also damaged. The island was without electricity from 6 in the morning. The police have reported several roofs blown off due to the storm. Still in the region, Anguilla was one of the islands heavily affected by Irma's onslaught. With limited information coming out of the small island, we searched online for any information we could find to give us an idea of the storm's impact on the ground. We found this video posted on YouTube, which gives you an idea of how strong the winds were.
Listen, this is crazy.
Daddy, I think I just saw one of the solar panels just fly. The solar panel door falls down.
Over in Antigua, Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda, Gaston Brown, says his country weathered the most powerful hurricane ever to storm its way through the Caribbean with stunning results. Prime Minister Brown said the predictions were that Antigua would be devastated, its infrastructure demolished, people killed, and the economy destroyed. But the picture is very different. There was no loss of life, and hotel guests are all safe. Brown said the airport would be open for flights into and out of Antigua by 2 p.m. on Wednesday. He added that government work initiated ahead of the storm paid remarkable dividends. He did confirm that there has been some property damage, but he said the main infrastructure has stood up and normal life can resume. He said, as regards Barbuda, preliminary reports indicate damage to rooftops and some buildings, but he had no report of fatalities. According to the National Hurricane Center, as the winds swept across Barbuda, a weather station recorded sustained winds of 118 miles per hour and a wind gust of 155 miles per hour before the instrument failed. The Barbuda police station lost its roof, forcing officers to seek refuge in a nearby fire station and community center, which served as an official shelter. You are watching Channel 5 News. More news and sports after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. The Public Service Union is elated that public officers who retired in 2015-2016 due for a one-off payment equivalent to 1 month's salary for 2016-2017 will not be required to pay taxes on that money. Based on a collective agreement signed with the government on Tuesday, other public officers will receive a one-off payment for 2016-2017 equivalent to 2 months' salary. This is computed on the last salary received by the officer at June 2017. There will be a salary freeze for public officers for the period 2015 to 2016, but they will receive a 3% salary increase for the fiscal year 2017-2018, effective 1st July 2017. Government's original offer to public officers was a salary freeze.
When we met with the government, we were convinced, because they told us they were not going to tax the one-time payment, which was equivalent to 2 months' salaries. So based on that, we recommended to our members that we accept the package, only to be written to later on telling us that it would be taxed. So we met as an executive, and we decided that we were not going to accept it, that you gave a commitment.
The union came out of negotiations with the government bearing significant non-salary benefits for its members.
A grant of $20,000 will be received towards training of public officers. So the union will be conducting its own training programs, workshops, and so on, and that $20,000 will go towards that program. A grant of $80,000 towards the union's revolving fund, and a grant in the amount of $236,000 towards the union's medical fund and health insurance. $36,000 will go specifically to assist those who are part of our group medical insurance scheme. And very often people go overseas, they are studying, and during the first few months while they're overseas, they are not able to pay their premium. That money will assist them in paying their premium. In addition to that, sometimes they also have to travel overseas, and they need some money at least to begin their travel. And we will use that money to assist them. And the majority of the money, as I said, will go towards helping them if they have needs, grants, and soft loans.
In other news, government is looking closely at another southeastern community with a view to possibly evacuating the people of that area. Iduna Jean-Baptiste explains.
While much of the attention has been placed on relocating the people of Petit Savan and Dubic since Tropical Storm Erica, the neighboring Bagatelle is not out of the woods either. 40 years after the Bagatelle disaster, Prime Minister Skerrit is putting the spotlight on the village, saying that it is still unsafe. The 1977 slide following days of heavy rains caused houses to be swept away and killed some 13 people there. Hurricane David, 2 years after, also did a number on the village, destroying houses, a school, and other major buildings.
From the time you hit this river crossing in Bagatelle, the rest of the community should not be occupied. As a matter of fact, I'm going to go to Bagatelle sometime soon to speak to the residents beyond this river crossing in Bagatelle to urge them to move. So far more for Petit Savan, you understand? Because these places are not safe.
This is not the first consideration for the people of Bagatelle to vacate the area.
And as a matter of fact, and recent history will tell us that after this major landslide in Bagatelle, the people were advised in the 70s to move, to relocate after this major landslide. And because these places are naturally vulnerable.
And first-year students of the Dominica State College, stranded off-island due to the passage of Irma, will have an extended period to sort out their classes. The word from Registrar of the College, Dr. Shyla Esprit, who noted that many students on vacation trying to return to the island could not do so because of cancellation of LIAT services. She said the freshmen will have until next week to settle on registration. For second-year students, Dr. Esprit says they will consider their request to add and/or drop classes on a case-by-case basis. However, she noted that the school's online student portal would have facilitated second-year students in registering for classes. She says they will particularly consider those who had difficulties due to internet issues. Classes began on Monday, and Esprit told the Channel 5 News that new students were well adjusted on the heels of an efficient registration process during orientation week. She expected 700 new entrants enrolled in classes by the end of this week.
The 700 number is a good number. I like to say that we are at optimal capacity right now, and the numbers are staying stable from last year's enrollment. So we run between 680 to about 710 incoming students every year, and we have held those numbers for the last few years. So given the space that we have on campus and the resources that we have, both in terms of human resource and facilities, this is ideal number of students that we have, and we are serving the majority of the country's students coming in from high school. And we have returning students who are coming back after a few years, and we have new programs, so that means we have more people coming in professional programs from the workforce as well. So we're accommodating all of them under that 700 average.
That's news. Your sports highlights next with Kenny Williams.
First up in sports, West Indies head coach Stuart Law says the team needs to prove to fans that they have what it takes to win consistently. Stuart believes the third and final test between West Indies and England on Thursday will be the perfect opportunity for West Indies to regain the confidence of fans.
I did say we can play the game. A lot of people weren't giving us that credit, but now we've shown what we can do. It's up to us to maintain that level. I've seen these guys at close quarters. I've talked to them. And just the responses they give you, there's immense confidence there. There probably is a couple that doubted their ability, doubted their game to cope at this level, but hopefully those doubts are now well and truly put to bed, and they can start flourishing and going forward. We're not talking about winning the series. For us, yes, it is the last game of a series, but it's an opportunity for us to play at the home of cricket. Not many guys in this dressing room or our dressing room played here before.
Law expects England to bring their A-game to Lord's and is looking forward to that match.
We know that every time we play them, they're going to be hard to beat. And look, I thought guys like Chris Wokes, Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad bowled the house down at Headingley, and we had answers to it, which was not evident at Edgbaston. So look, we know they're going to come even harder here. And their batsmen, they'll be hurting. They'll be wanting to spend more time out in the middle. So we know it's not the fact that they underestimated us. I think we actually stood up and competed against some high quality bowling, some high quality batting. So I think credit where credit's due. England outplayed us in the first game. I think it was an even contest in the second one. And we just managed to get over the line on the last day.
Football action moves to the out districts this weekend with a number of teams eager to climb the points table of the 2017 Flow Premier League, weather permitting. So far, Northern Concrete and Steel Bombers and Promex Harlem United are the only teams that have gone undefeated in the league with 2 wins each.
On Friday, Wacky Rollers and the Belfast Limited Mausuka Strikers will be looking for some much-needed points when they battle each other at the Dubla playing field from 6 p.m. On Saturday, Kelvedaro Exodus Football Club and Baffaset Football Club go in search of their first win when they take on each other at 4 p.m. at the Dubla playing field, while at the Benjamin Park, Northern Concrete and Steel Bombers will be looking to make it 3 wins in as many matches when they clash with Sajiko Southeast also at 4 p.m. And on Sunday, Promex Harlem United goes in search of their 3rd straight win as they come up against Petrocaribe Point Michel at the Geneva Grounds at 3 p.m. While at the Dubla playing field, defending champion Central Cooperative Credit Union Dubla Football Club will battle Middleham United at 4 p.m.
Next up, Dominica's youth sprinter Danielson Mahote will leave for Jamaica better equipped to meet his training needs, compliments the government of Dominica. On Tuesday, the 17-year-old met with government officials to discuss the way forward for his career in track and field, where he is scheduled to undergo intense training at the MVP Track Club in Jamaica. The track athlete says the support came at a time when he needed it most.
I am very thankful and very grateful that the government came on board and supported me for that very much needed assistance. The government is covering everything from training to accommodation, to transportation and equipment, everything I need when I get up to Jamaica. So I'm very happy they came on board and very, very thankful for that.
The initial support from government is expected to cover his need from October to December, with the hope of providing further support in the future. Mahote's upcoming assignments include the Curved Games in Bahamas, Commonwealth Games in Australia, IAAF World Junior Championships in Finland, OECS Championships in St. Kitts, CAC Games in Colombia, and the Youth Olympics in Argentina. The national athlete is expected to leave for Jamaica on Saturday. Back on the cricket scene, we can tell you that St. Kitts and Nevis Patriots are one step away from completing a remarkable worst-to-first turnaround after defeating Trinbago Knight Riders by 38 runs in the first qualifying match of the 2017 Caribbean Premier League on Tuesday. Coming off the back of a last-place finish in 2016 and having never made the playoffs prior to this season, the win over Knight Riders put Patriots into Saturday night's final. As was the case on the opening weekend in Florida, Chris Gayle turned in a slow but steady half-century that proved especially valuable by the end of play. The captain's 50 was backed up by 3 wickets from seamer Sheldon Cottrell as the Knight Riders' batting order was left exposed by the absence of the injured Brendan McCallum. Patriots' Brandon King came in with 30, while Mohamed Hafiz came in with 21. Chris Gayle scored an unbeaten 54 to help bring the team's score to 149 for the loss of 7 wickets. Dwayne Bravo was the star bowler for Trinbago Knight Riders with 4 wickets for 38 runs and runs for beaten 2 for 22. Set 150 for victory, Knight Riders were bowled out for 111 in 19.3 overs. Darren Bravo was the highest scoring batsman with 29, while Dwayne Bravo assisted with 24. That's all the sporting highlights for now. I am Kenny Williams. Join us next time.
It's now time for the weather forecast.
Good evening. Welcome to the weather report and forecast. I'm Viola Pascal. We begin by taking a look at our infrared satellite imagery that showed Hurricane Irma, dangerous Hurricane Irma at Category 5 that moved across the northern portion of the Leeward Islands overnight and across the U.S. Virgin Islands throughout today. To the east of the island chain, we have an area of cloudiness that is associated with Jose. Jose intensified to a Category 1 hurricane today, approximately 1,040 miles east of the Lesser Antilles. Jose, based on the projected path, is expected to be east of the Leeward Islands late Friday into Saturday. The visible satellite imagery indicated an area of cloudiness to the north of the area that is associated with Irma. Across Dominica, conditions gradually improved throughout the afternoon. For the radar imagery, indicated scattered showers mainly across the northern and central portions of the island chain. For tonight, expect partly cloudy to cloudy skies with some scattered showers and a slight chance of isolated thunderstorms. Similar conditions can be expected tomorrow with a general southerly flow across the area. For the marine forecast, seas are moderate to rough, with waves peaking near 10 feet. A small craft warning remains in effect for above normal seas. Over the next 3 days, for Thursday and Friday, expect partly cloudy to cloudy skies with a chance of isolated thunderstorms. And as Jose moved closer to the Leeward Islands, expect an increase in cloudiness on Saturday with showers and thunderstorm activity. Across the Caribbean, expect partly cloudy to cloudy skies with scattered showers and possible thunderstorm activity over the northern portion of the island chain. For the international cities forecast, expect clear skies in New York, partly cloudy skies in Miami, overcast skies in London, thunder showers in Caracas, and clear skies in Beijing. The sun will rise at 5:53 a.m. and set at 6:13 p.m. For further information, call the weather hotline at 447-5555 or visit the website at weather.gov.dm. Thanks for viewing. Do have a good evening.
To end the news, the headlines again. SIDEMA to focus on the needs of Anguilla and the British Virgin Islands in the wake of Hurricane Irma's impact. Dominica pledges support to sister islands affected by Hurricane Irma. And public officers who retired in 2015-2016 and their counterparts to receive tax-free bonuses as the PSU signs collective agreement with government. Feel free to contact us at news@marpin2k4.com. You can also access our past newscasts on our YouTube channel. On behalf of the entire production team, I am Andrea Louis, and to all of our viewers around the world, thank you so much for watching. Join us next time.